What's going on, everybody? Today I'm going to be giving you a full tutorial on how to draw NBA players. I'll be going through every specific detail on how I draw them, and yeah, just be running you through my process. So first here we got a image of Chet Holmgren. So I usually get mine off Getty Images. So you can search it up here, gettyimages.com. You can search for whatever player you want. So I got mine here. I'm just going to copy it. I'm going to go into Illustrator, create new, and then we're going to use 18 by 18 inch canvas. So we're just clicking here. Just open it up. There we go. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go Control V to paste. And then I'm just going to size it up a little bit. I'm going to hold Shift so that it scales properly. I'm going to fit his head just in about there. And then just to get rid of all the excess stuff, I'm going to go over to Properties and select the image. I'm going to go down to Crop. And then I'm just going to take away all the space so that it's just the player in the photo. And then click Apply. And then next step, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select it just over here. And then I'm going to go to the transparency button. And then we're going to go opacity, turn it down just so you can see it. And then we're just going to trace over everything. So we're going to go new layer here. And then we're going to click B for the brush. It's a nice normal black brush, so we're just going to use this. And then, yeah, so we're going to draw on this new layer up top. And just going to turn the stroke down to right here, that's good. And for the hair, I like to turn the fidelity down. So the fidelity is about how smooth your brush will run. So if you click enter with the brush selected, it should bring up the fidelity. So if you had a really accurate fidelity and you went like this, it wouldn't be very smooth. See, in here you can see like the little bumps, but if we turn the fidelity all the way up, it would draw very smoothly. So it's less bumpy in the middle. So I like to turn my fidelity down for the hair. Yeah, it just doesn't need to be as smooth because there's no like hair sticking out. I'm just going to trace around the edges. I use a Windows Surface Pro and I got the Surface Pro pen, so I'm just drawing over it. Tracing the hair doesn't need to be super accurate. And one thing to make sure is that all of the brush strokes connect, that you want to be different objects. See, if it was hair and you try to fill it, all the color would spill out and you wouldn't get the object. So you just want to click A, and if you click it, you can just drag this little point, anchor point, and make sure it's touching the other strokes. And that should be done. So that's just the base outline. Now what we're going to do is fill in the details. So we'll do the jersey and then just like fill in details on the body. What you can do is grab a smaller brush. You can turn it down maybe to like 0.5 or even 0.25. And then you're just going to trace along these details again. And then really make sure that these strokes are connecting, because these ones are a little bit smaller and it's easier for you to miss it. So be very careful, because it's very annoying once you don't have it connected and then the color just leaks out. All right, now that we got most of the details down, I'm gonna head over to my tappet brush. This is a custom brush that I've made. You can check out more YouTube tutorials on how to make them, but basically a tappet brush is just like a normal brush, but at the ends, they're a little bit skinnier. So I draw on this layer, just here. See, the ends are just kind of pointy, and this just helps add in some more details to the player on the skin and on the jersey. So what I like to do is I like to turn it down, and I'll chuck some on the shoulder, just like that. Just where the like muscle definition is. Even like some of the fingernails as well, make the smaller brush. I'll chuck some on the ball. That's where the creases are. So there. And it just gives it a finer lining. It just makes it look a bit nicer. And then we can do it for the jersey wrinkles, just in here. And you don't need to get it exact. You can just play around with it, honestly. It doesn't really matter where they are. And yeah, so if you zoom out, it should look like that. It's a little bit too thick, so I'm gonna grab these ones. Just turn them down a notch. That's a bit better. Then we'll chuck some on the ears, on the earlobes. Just there. And then we'll also do the hair, so we'll add a little bit of detail in here. Just brushing where his hair goes, giving it some more detail, give it some flow and direction. We're doing long ones, short ones. Sweet, now that you got your outline, you're going to connect everything. Pay attention to this part because it is a little bit difficult. So I'm going to hide this background layer here. We're going to click Control A. That just selects everything that's visible. Going up here to Object, clicking here, clicking Expand Appearance, and then going over to your Pathfinder, you're going to click this one, which is Merge. So that just combines all of the paths. Control A, make sure it's there. We're dragging this layer down to here, to the new layer, which duplicates it. Then we're gonna lock the top layer so that we can draw on the inside of it and it doesn't go over the lines. And then we also have this bottom layer here. We're gonna select it. I'm gonna click M, so that brings up this rectangle tool here. I'm gonna go over to your fill color, change it to something light, just anything random, doesn't really matter. We're gonna fill this whole thing here. Then you can click here, go arrange, and make sure to send it to the back. So now that's behind the outlines. And then you're gonna click Control A again, and then merge it. Now if you click A, we'll bring up this tool, direct selection tool. Click the outside, hopefully I've connected all the dots, so if I delete it, creates it like that. That looks good. So if you hover over with your direct selection tool, everything's now a new object. So that's cool. And then we're just going to color everything in. So how I like to do that is I make this visible. I'm going to select this image, and then we're going to turn the opacity all the way back up to 100. Again, we're going to duplicate it by dragging it down to here. I'm going to move this one across. So what you can do here is you can select the objects on your illustration. Again, click A. So I'll click here. I'm just going to do all the skin colors. So everything has arms, legs, hands. And then I'm going to click I, which is the eyedropper tool. And then you're going to hold over any part on the picture which you think best represents his skin color. So this area around here I kind of like. So I'm going to hold shift and then click, and then that will make it all there. And then you can just adjust it. You can double click the fill. I'm going to saturate it a little bit more about here. And that looks good. And then you're just going to do the same with the rest. You're going to do the jersey, the hair, all the small little details. And yeah, I'm going to speed this part up real quick. As you can see here, I've just filled everything in, so here's how it looks. Looks pretty good to me. If you're a beginner, you might just want to stop here because the shading and the face details are a little bit more advanced and does take a lot of practice to not look ugly. So yeah, this is like a good spot for a beginner to stop. Now here, as you can see, I didn't fill in these lines. I forgot to connect this part up to here. So all the blues just leaked in. So I'm just gonna have to color over that later. It does make my job a little bit harder, but it can be overcome. I'm just gonna change the colors here. Now what I'm gonna do is the face. This is the hardest part of the design and one of the most tedious parts to get right because it can really make or break your illustration. So what I'll do is start here. I'm gonna click the eyedropper tool and select the hair. I'm gonna hide this one and we're gonna add about 5 new layers here just by clicking this button, and then we'll hide the illustration. Then what we'll do here is we'll color it in with the pencil tool. So you're gonna click in, and what this does is that you can draw around it like this using the pencil tool, and then it just fills it in. Again, this has fidelity as well, so I'm gonna keep it relatively high here. So we're gonna go there, do this eyebrow. Then we're gonna do the nostrils real quick. So I like to choose a black color. Quickly just fill that in here. And then we're gonna switch over to the tapered brush again. I'm gonna turn it down just a bit. And then we're gonna do the outline of the nose. We're gonna switch over to the brush and click B, just like that. Alright, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill in all these gaps here. So we're going to fill in the eyeball. I'm going to get a dark brown color for his eyeball. Go a layer down behind the strokes. I'm going to use the pencil tool. Fill this in. I'm going to fill it in here. Bam. Go on to the left eye. Bam. And then what we're going to do, I'm going to grab a black one. I'm going to draw the pupil. Whoopsie. I'm going to draw the pupil in each eye. Pupil here. Then we're just going to color in the eye whites. Fill that in there. Boom. Do the gleam. And then same over here. We're going to do the eye whites again. Boom. Starting to look more like him. What I'm going to do now is grab a little pinkish color. If I can find one. Should do. And then we're going to fill in this little like socket part here. I'll chuck that there. And I might just turn down the white a little bit because the eye white's not always that white. So we just turn it down a little bit. That looks alright. Then what we're going to do, we're going to do the lips. The lips are a little bit harder to do. So we're going to go down and get a dark pink color. And then the top lip is usually darker. So boom. And then we'll follow with the bottom lip, which is a little bit lighter. We can change the color. I'm going to click A. Turn it up a little bit to about there. Now what I'm going to do is chuck some shadows in. So I'm going to grab the eyedropper tool. And so this is a skin color right here. And we're going to turn it down to about there. And then we're going to hide this one. And then just paint him where the shadows are. To give it some more depth. Make it look a little bit less flat than it is. I'm just going to paint over all the ones here. So obviously the eye socket, there's some shadows. Then we're going to paint in the ear. Just there. You also want to do this on a lower layer. So again, we're doing this ear right here. Filling this in. It doesn't have to be completely perfect as long as it captures the general shape and gist of it. Then we're going to do one below the nose. Just there. Let's color's a little bit off, so we can play around with it in this shape. I'm gonna just redo. That looks a bit better. Let's just change this to a little bit lighter. Now what I'm gonna do is create a clipping mask on the face. So I'm gonna click A, select the face, and then we're gonna come over to this button here. This means draw inside. So that allows us to draw inside it. So if I get a darker sort of shadow color, so if I try to draw outside it, it will only do the parts inside, which is real cool. Boom, right there. Then we're gonna grab another one and go a little bit darker just where the chin is touching the neck, and then just underneath the jersey there. That looks alright. Now what I'm going to do is add in some highlights. So I'm just going to grab a white brush with the pencil tool, go to this layer. I'm going to chuck a little highlight on the nose, and then one on the cheek. Just curve it. And then we're going to select all of these, go over to transparency, and then just turn it down to about there. Just play around with it, see where it looks nice. And that just gives it a little bit of a shinier feature, add some highlights to it. Just gonna add another shadow underneath his hair. Now another thing you can do just for your reference image to see how realistic it's looking is you can grab this layer again. Just gonna delete this reference one, and then we're gonna duplicate this one and then just chuck it on top. So by doing this, we can go back and forth and just see how accurate it looks. Just gonna darken up the eyes a little bit. Now what I'm gonna do is just shade in the hair. So I'm gonna grab this, go to my clipping mask tool, draw inside, go to a dark color. I'm just gonna play around, just draw some random shapes in the hair. Let's give it some spike, give it some flow and some action. And it doesn't have to be super accurate. You can go off the photo if you like, but I just like to play around. Just do some squiggly lines here and there. And then we're going to do the same with the highlights. So we're going to grab that color and then go up a little bit. And then same thing. Some nice little squiggly lines. Then we can do some at the top where the light is usually going to hit from. Now what I'll do is color in his arm. Just gonna add some more shadows to it. So we're gonna again use this clipping mask tool, and I'll skip through this real quickly. Now I've shaded most of the image and it's starting to look pretty good now. What I'm going to lastly do is shade in the jersey. So what you can do here is the same thing we've been doing with the clipping mask. We go draw inside, or what you can do is add a new layer, get a black pencil brush, and then you can draw over just like this. Might look a little bit weird to start, but you can go like that, create a wrinkle right there. Go over to your transparency and turn the blending mode to multiply, and then just turn it down a little bit. It kind of emulates a little shadow, and if you really need help you can go off this, but I personally just go at random and it shouldn't look too bad. So this is the final illustration, guys. I'm pretty happy with how this turned out. captures a lot of his likeness. Doesn't look 100% like him, but you know, it's just a cool little cartoon form that I like to use for my designs. And yeah, if you guys have any questions or suggestions for my videos, please make sure to leave a comment below. And thank you so much for watching. Have a great day.